Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 4. So we are almost at the 2-week mark until the return of Superman and Lois to our screens for the fourth and final time on October 7th. This, of course, being a special 2-hour premiere event with the first 2 episodes of the season airing back-to-back on the same night, which should be cool. Gonna be a pain in the ass probably to cover as a YouTuber, but we'll figure it out. Now, we weren't too sure if we'd be getting another trailer for this season, at least a decently sized one, maybe like a 15-20 second promo that airs on the CW or something, but maybe not a long one. And, well, despite our concerns, we've been gifted with another trailer. It's about a minute in length, and this shows us a decent amount to get very, very, very excited about, especially some stuff that I actually wasn't too sure they would do this season, but it looks like they are actually doing it. So let's watch that trailer.
You like it here in this small town? The aw shucks and the apple pie. Makes you feel safe. Seems fake to me. Maybe being here will change my mind.
I'm not scared of you.
You will be.
I feel so bad for John and Jordan. Their dad just died.
The world's without us protected.
I can handle him.
You're not ready yet. You are not your father.
Out there, it's just gonna have to be the three of you.
They have to pay for what they did.
You want to wipe out a whole town?
It's a dangerous business being a superhero.
Lock on target!
He left something for all of you.
This is how we save Dad.
Superman and Lois.
So yeah, that trailer gets you pretty excited. Now, I'm not too sure in regards to the episode contents, if that makes sense, like what episodes and their footage are included in that trailer. Like usually, like before a season comes out, the first one might only contain like the first episode, and then maybe the second one might contain up to episode 3 or 4 or something. I'm not too sure with this because there's a couple of things in there that make me go, hold on, that looks like it might be towards the end of the season, or at least definitely the back half, but I'm not too sure. So if anyone has a better idea as to where, you know, how many episodes are included in this trailer, let me know. But you gotta remember, they finished filming all the way back in, I think it was April, like middle of April. So they've had, what, 5 months already in post-production. So this could include footage from every episode, even the finale. There might be some stuff from the series finale in this trailer. I'm not too sure, but as you'd expect, we're going to break it down. So of course, let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Did this get you more excited for what's coming our way in just over 2 weeks from now? Anything I missed, let me know. What's your favorite part? Let me know as well. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, want to show support, drop a like. Takes 2 seconds. But yeah, we do start off the trailer by seeing Lex Luthor talking to Lois, or actually hearing Lex Luthor talking to Lois Lane. And it sounds like he has already arrived in Smallville from what we're hearing. But, you know, at the same time, it also sounds like he's going to be staying there for a bit as well. But as we hear Lois say, she isn't afraid of Lex. Now, here's the big thing is that Lois really hasn't had to deal with Lex without Superman there. Of course, Lois is a very, you know, brave character, very upfront character, but there's always been that fallback that if something goes a bit awry, you know, Superman's there to save the day, essentially, if you want to put it in simple terms. That's not going to be the case now. Of course, there is some other characters that could do that, but not Superman. But speaking of Superman and his whereabouts and presence this season, we do see Lois approaching Superman's body on the main strip of Smallville, or downtown Smallville, I guess you'd say. He has a big claw scratch mark on his right arm, but this is when we get the big moment. We have Lois gasping when she turns Superman over onto his back, so his front's facing up. And it does sort of appear from what we can see here that he has a much bigger wound on his chest or just somewhere on his front area. So clearly at this point, Superman is quote unquote dead, or just at least heavily injured that he appears dead from what we can see here. Now, I am incredibly intrigued to see like where this is placed throughout the episode. Like we know we're going to be starting the season off, or at least like the first few minutes are going to then kick into the big fight with Superman and Doomsday still in space, continuing on from the end of last season where they finished sort of fighting on the moon, or where they cut to black fighting on the moon, I guess you could say. So I'm very interested to see if there's more to that fight, or this thing where we're seeing Superman on the ground is shortly following what we saw in the clip that was shown at Comic-Con, almost 2 months ago, roughly from this point. But obviously this will be a big moment, as you'd expect. very big moment, and it looks like Bitsy Tulloch's doing a good job as Lois in here as well. Now we do have Natalie talking to her father, John Henry, about Superman dying, and also Clark Kent dying, you know, the father of Jonathan and Jordan dying, with John Henry bringing up that the world is now without its protector, which of course is probably hinting towards what they feel that they have to do with the equipment that they have and where their role might be now and how it's a bit elevated now, at least depending on what happens on planet Earth from this point forward after Superman's quote-unquote gone. But this is when we then see Jordan in his Superboy uniform, if you want to put it, approaching Lex Luthor, which we had seen in the first trailer they released for this season, but this time we see him getting physical with him, like holding him up against the wall. But once again, we also see and hear Lois telling Jordan that he is not really ready for that responsibility as of yet. Like, he's not his dad. And Jordan's journey this season will be a very interesting one, because I don't know if the showrunners were saying, okay, like season 4 is where Jordan fully develops. Like, they might not have been playing that fully into season 5, but will they speedrun that? Or will they just go organically where they wanted to take Jordan as a character in this season? They're not going to try and rush it too much. There might be some little elements that they might rush, but as a whole, they're not going to push it forward a ridiculous amount because they don't want to just rush the character growth. They want to just play it naturally. So I am intrigued to see what they do with Jordan, because like there was some hiccups last year, not in regards to the quality, but just in regards to how he handled his powers and how he felt he was meant to handle that role and responsibility. But now with his father gone, but there also being that threat of Luthor and also Doomsday potentially still being out there, that just adds a bit more elements and just stakes to it all as well. So it's just interested to see what Jordan does. But here's the big thing. People have been wondering about Superman, like once he, you know, dies, what happens there? Well, we do see Superman's body in the Fortress of Solitude. He's in like this healing chamber of sorts, if you want to put it, that it appears to be that, like some sort of healing chamber. And we can see that he has wounds on his face, but you can get a better look, I guess you could say, at that wound on his chest, like we talked about before. He has a big wound here. It looks like it's like a stab by Doomsday, most likely. Potentially it could be Doomsday ripping off one of his own spikes. And we had seen that in the fight scenes, I think at the end of last season, but I think also in that clip that they showed at Comic-Con, like Doomsday ripping off his own spikes. Actually, no, it was at the end of last season, I think specifically. He like rips off 2 of his own like spikes and then jumps at Superman. So maybe this wound is from one of those spikes, or it even could just be from his fist, because his fists are covered in spikes as well when they fully develop. So he could just be literally punching Superman in the chest and it does that damage. So that's pretty likely what is the cause of this wound on Superman's chest. And I guess we may as well bring it up now. It's in like a later portion of the trailer, but it's around this same scene. But we do see Superman's mother appear, and she does say that Superman left his family something, with it also being said that this is how we save Dad. And we do hear a bit of a voiceover from Superman or Kal-El as well, but it's probably just like maybe a way that they can save him, or it's how he feels they should go on without him, or whatever it is. That's for us to wait and find out in whatever episode it might be. But in regards to how they save Superman, it seems like there's probably, well, it seems like it's likely there is something, whether it's specifically from Doomsday or not, that can bring him back to life or help with his healing process, along with this like healing chamber of sorts or whatever it might be. So there's like a lot of people wondering and putting bets on, I guess you could say, like, oh, what episode is he coming back? I think the episode of like 4 or 5 that people are saying is probably the right thing. I don't think they'd leave Superman coming back until like 7 or 8. That's too late, I think. But also you don't want to bring him back by like the end of episode 2 or even like somewhere in episode 3. I think 4 or 5 is probably the right episode range, I think, to bring the character back, especially if it's going through this healing process and some of the characters have to do stuff to help with this healing process as well. But here's one of the things I was actually surprised by. We do see Lex Luthor with no beard. He's clean shaven, and he's also, more importantly, getting into the Exo-Suit that we're used to seeing John Henry using. Now, here's the big question. Does he steal it, or is this his own? Because here's the thing that I saw people going, oh, he must just take it off John Henry, which could easily be the case. Don't get me wrong. Easily could be the case. But you got to remember that this Exo-Suit that John Henry has, he took from the Luthor Core stuff on his Earth. So this is Luthor Core technology. How do we know that, or Luthor Corp, might I say, how do we know that this isn't just some stuff like a prototype that he's had on this Earth that's just maybe gets like developed quicker because now he goes, oh, okay, well that works, so now we have a general idea or a better idea how to certain aspects of it might work or something. That could easily be the case. But then again, like, because that the stuff that John Henry's using is from that Earth, and then it might recognize Lex Luthor's DNA and stuff. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. And the thing is that the way to indicate whether it was John Henry's suit or not would be from the little bug thing, whatever it is. It's like a butterfly, like a thing that he has on his chest. You can't see that in this trailer, unfortunately. And they might have done that like intentionally, like not really showing us that, because that would be our way of going whether that is actually John Henry's suit or not. But you can't see that little bug emblem thing that they have on there. So I don't know. Do you think that it's his own suit, or do you think he took it from John Henry? I think either is equally plausible, to be completely honest, because both of them make sense that would be the case. But we do hear Lex saying that, quote, they have to pay for what they did. And this is before he jumps into the Exo-Suit. With us actually seeing Amanda McCoy and see her talking for the first time. And she is questioning that he sort of wants to wipe out an entire town over presumably one person's actions, that being Lois Lane. However, due to him being clean shaven, this could be later in the season. So many things, including other members of Smallville, maybe getting in the way against Lex Luthor and stuff, because he does say they, and, you know, insinuating multiple people. You know, there could be some issues that, like, say, Sarah or Lana or Kyle or Chrissy or whoever it might be, or even Jordan and Jonathan have just gotten in his way and been a pain in the ass, and that's why there's just more than Lois Lane now that he's going after, hence going after the entire town of Smallville. But speaking of Lex, we do see he's like opening headquarters, I guess you could say, for this season. Like this shot of him like tearing away the like newspaper on the window, we've seen him a couple of times. But here we get a better shot with some stuff in the background. We have some articles relating to Lois Lane, similar to the board that Lois and Clark had about Lex Luthor last season. So I like the comparison there. And they also do mention a character of Lizzie, which could be his daughter. So that's a very interesting thing that would be there. Of course, we know that he was in prison while his daughter was, you know, well, I say it could be his daughter. It is his daughter. I don't know why I'm saying could, but I do wonder if like part of this storyline for this season is Lex trying to reconnect with his daughter, or because that might just be completely gone, there's no hope of it, he just takes more of that frustration out on Lois Lane because she was the cause of these problems for him, even though his actions were not very good and they were really the problem, but Lois was the one that really called him out for it and sent him to prison. Especially seeing as we know that he actually wasn't at fault at the things that he was put in prison for all those times. So obviously that adds more drama to it, but we know that Lex Luthor was still a bit of a dodgy dude. And we'll probably find more about that in some flashbacks for this season as well. Now we do see Jordan as Superboy getting, zapped. Is that the word? Zapped by kryptonite-infused weapons in a container yard. You can see the shipping containers do have Luthor Corp branding on them. Not 100% sure if this is Luthor-specific goons that are attacking Jordan here, or maybe they're intergang members from last season that are now working for Luthor because Bruno Mannheim is now out of the picture. But those weapons would be intergang, I'd assume. I think we saw those exact same weapons last season and just Luthor's taking control of them. But then again, Luthor might have had those type of weapons for a while. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Jordan seems to be struggling here. But I do wonder if he'll get himself out of it. Fingers crossed he does. But speaking of trouble, we do have Lois screaming outside of the Department of Defense with Jonathan in the background, but no Jordan. So you would assume that Jordan is potentially in trouble here. Most likely a different scenario from the container yard situation, you'd have to think at the very least, just because this is the Department of Defense, that was a container yard, just different areas. So unless something happens from Jordan from that point going to the Department of Defense and then getting in trouble, but yeah, you have to assume these are different situations, but we'll wait and see. And we do see Sarah and Lana quickly taking on an intruder in their home. I have a feeling it might be, is it Otis? The guy that we thought got killed by Bizarro last year, it wasn't. Just because it's a big dude, but he has a mask on. Hard to tell because he's got the balaclava thing on, so hard to tell who it is, but just based off the size, it could be that Otis dude. We do see him next to Luthor when Luthor kicks Sam Lane into the grave. So it could be him, but hard to tell. But Sarah is hitting him with a baseball bat and Lana's just trying to get away. And the final thing of note to talk about from this trailer is John Henry and Natalie in their steel suits taking on Doomsday, which obviously this 100%, or actually, I don't want to say 100% confirms because this could be during the Superman fight. And this is like shortly after Doomsday brings down Superman. Superman might not be gone at this stage. Maybe he's like slightly injured and John Henry and Natalie are trying to, divert Doomsday's attention or something. So this might not be specifically like after the fact and, Doomsday survives after Superman dies, but it's also hard to tell. So it could be in another episode as well. But many things from like interviews and stuff have hinted that Doomsday does survive the fight with Superman and is still out there and still a threat. And this does somewhat support that just because of where they're fighting. They're fighting on Earth in the sky and stuff. They're not fighting in space again. So we'll have to wait and see. But John Henry does appear to take heavy damage during the fight. Once again, this could be how Lex Luthor gets in possession of John Henry's suit if it like smashes apart and stuff, and then he's able to piece it together the way that he wants. But once again, we don't see anything in the trailer of like Lex Luthor picking up the pieces of this suit or anything like that. So that's a wait and see. We just know that we're going to get John Henry and Natalie and most likely Jordan getting in some scuffles, you'd have to think, with Doomsday, but fingers crossed that no one else has to die. But yeah, overall, this trailer got me more excited. Obviously, as I said, we just got over 2 weeks until we get the premiere, so it's very exciting. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the trailer and you're excited for it as well. But of course, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. It takes 2 seconds. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this trailer, what gets you excited, any theories, let me know. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.